You know, a lot had happened in the Garden of Eden. At this point, man had disconnected from God. Man had violated the sacred code that God gave him, that gave him authority and rulership in the garden. And in God's usual way, he stepped into the garden. The Bible said, and they heard, talking about Adam and Eve, the voice of God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord. They hid themselves among the trees in the garden because they knew what that moment signified in Eden. Adam was a ruler in the Garden of Eden. But you see, the powers and the rulership of Adam was predicated upon the knowledge of God that he had part time. Because the goal of the government that Adam exercised was to bring about the nature of God superimposed upon everything that will be factored in the visible realm. So if Adam's government was accurate, Adam was supposed to make everything in the garden become a visible expression of God. So his government was to superimpose the nature of God on the visible creation. And the second thing about the government of Adam was to teach creation how to exhibit the character and the characteristics of God. And there was no way Adam could bring about that order of government except as he looked upon the countenance of Elohim. So from time to time, God walked into the garden. Meanwhile, it was not the face of God that showed up in the garden. It was not the glory of God that showed up in the garden. It was the voice of God. Because the dimension of God that came into the garden came to educate Adam about a syllabus that was not factored in the visible realm. God came to teach Adam God. Because there were many things Adam could learn in the garden, but the only way Adam could learn God was through koinonia. The only way Adam could learn God was through intercourse. So the Bible said in the cool of the day, the voice of God, the oracles of God, the speakings of God came walking in the garden, and Adam interacted with it. The word came walking is the word ruach yom. What it means is the moment of the spirit. The moment. It was not at all times that God came to instruct Adam. There was a particular window that opened in Eden when God effused into the garden. And when God showed up, Adam had capacity in the spirit to discern the invasion of God. And every time God came, there was an alignment order that Adam sustained in order to enter into intercourse with God. And when Adam interacted with God, God downloaded his dimensions into Adam. It was that dimension that Adam carried from that moment of intercourse that he brings into Eden. And when Adam shows up in Eden, what comes out of Adam is government, because he said, let them have dominion. But it was a strange kind of dominion. You know, the Bible opens up in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. It said, in the beginning, God. Because before the beginning was, God was. So God was not part of the beginning. The beginning began from God, because existence itself is in the bellies of Elohim. So Elohim was not part of the beginning. So he began to teach us that before the spirit realm was ever created, God was. Before the visible realm was created, he said God was. So it's important for any man that will strike a chord in the spirit on earth to travel beyond the beginning into God. Because if you don't touch God, you cannot be relevant in the beginning. Because the beginning, the origin of time, the origin of reality began from God. So for man to be relevant, he needed to journey back into God. So what Adam was doing in the cool of the day was a journey back into that which was before the beginning. So that when he enters into the beginning, he could bring a civilization that existed before the beginning. Because the beginning was a virgin dimension that God allowed Adam to colonize. I'm looking for utterance. You know what I want to teach is not normal Bible study. I want to tell you the stories of God. I want to tell you the secrets of creation, the code of existence. Because life does not begin in the beginning. Life was before the beginning. And when the beginning ends, life continues. So the journey into God is an eternal reality. Hey, Elianda Franase. Boronde Zavakida, Barakida. You know, Christians don't understand the privilege they have. Because in Christ we have a way back into him that was, him that dwells before time began. That's the journey of existence. The journey of existence is not from Kubwa to Asorok. The journey of existence is from time to eternity. When you touch God and you bring God back to your realm. You ancient Zion's king, Kadosh, Kadosh, you are mighty on your throne. Break forth, oh fountains of the deep. Cry out, Kadosh, you are mighty on your throne. You know, Adam did not understand the significance of this journey that he was enjoying in Eden. Adam came to a point where he thought the value of life was in things, so he began to appreciate apples. He didn't know that when God opens up his oracles, everything that will ever be is contained there. So he began to look at things and he began to admire things. And a point came, he forgot. He forgot the journey that he was engaging on in Genesis 3 verse 8. He forgot that that was the foundation of all things. His ability to enter into God, to stay there, to look upon God, to download God and to communicate God. He forgot that that syllables was the making process of Elohim, to bring him to a point where he becomes exactly like him in essence and in verity. All of a sudden he began to desire other things, and suddenly the serpent came into the garden and he recognized the serpent. And the serpent told him, there is another way apart from the way of God. There's another channel you can achieve what you are laboring to achieve. There's another way of becoming like God. This route you are taking is too long. Come, let me show you another route. And he introduced the code of rebellion into creation, and the man fell. When he fell, the garden was still there, but he had lost reality, because it was not about the garden, it was about his intercourse with God. And the first thing that happened to him was that he was cast out of the garden. He no longer had the opportunity to look upon God. He no longer had the privilege to interact with God. He no longer had the powers to control and to regulate the garden, because he had violated. A new government had been introduced that is contrary to the government of God. And when the angels showed up, the angels before that were his partners in dominion, they now showed up, and suddenly he saw a sword moving on every side. The sword was not there before, but all of a sudden a sword appeared, because the journey into God had been stopped, and the man was cast from the garden. Since you desire other things, go and seek them. When you are done seeking them, you will discover that all things is vanity. Apart from Elohim, everything you have is vanity. Meanwhile, man will never understand this. Have you not noticed that when you have what you are looking for desperately, all of a sudden it loses value? The moment it enters your hand, it loses value. Because nothing has value until it is captured in God. If it is not captured in God, the verdict has already been passed. It said it is vanity upon vanity. All amounts to vanity. The only place you can look upon reality and continually admire it is in God. The man did not realize it. So he left God and he was on the journey of pursuit of things. So when he finds one, he loses value. He dumps it, he looks for another. When he finds it, he loses value. A point comes, what is this? He now discovered that path apart from God is the path of death. Every time God is no longer in view, you have taken the journey of death. And that is why nothing satisfies again, because the essence of man was designed to be satisfied by the continual infilling of God. So when you are born again, he said, him that is born of God overcometh the world. When a man is born of God, he turns away from the journey of vanity. That part which is a departure from God, he turns away from it and he comes back to focus. He begins to seek Elohim again. He said, whoever is born of God overcometh the world. The word is the word cosmos. What it means is institution. It means government. It means administration. Every protocol that is set in place that provokes a departure from the presence. He said, when you are born again, you begin to live above that protocol. All of a sudden, you come back to that point again where intercourse is reestablished. Now, if you enter into God, you will discover there are three realities that governs the civilization of God. The first reality that governs the civilization of God is the will of God. The second reality that governs the civilization of God is the wisdom of God. The third reality that governs the civilization of God are the purposes of God. This is why your prayer can't change the will of God. Because the will of God existed before you started praying. So your praying is correct when you align with the will of God. Because that reality, it existed before all things. In fact, civilization emanated from that reality. That's why when you do things in your own way, God doesn't hallow it. Before you do anything, he shows you how to do it. Because it's not just about doing it, it's about how it is done. It must be consistent with the wisdom of God for the blessings of God to come upon it. You know, when I was much younger, I thought ministry was about gifts. I was a mighty orator, so I gathered my friends and I told them something is about to happen. And after talking to them for 2 weeks, I now started the program. And when I started the program, I spoke to over 100 people. Only 12 of my friends came. And those who came to sympathize with me because they knew it was a failure. And I now realize there is a strategy beyond human intelligence to bring administration to the purposes of God. If it is not consistent with the will of God, the blessings of God will not rest. I now went back to God and God told me, be here praying. And I prayed there for over 10 years. When I finished praying, that oracle came out of himself. You know God is strange. Have you contemplated for a second that before the beginning God was? Where was God? Before the spirit realm was created, where was God? That means God lived in himself. So God is the house of God and God is God. Now, attempt for a second to imagine God. You will see how futile your brain is. You will discover this tool called your brain in matters of ordination is weak. So you will seek him day and night. Because until that wisdom crystallizes, your brain can't travel too far. He said, pray for long. I was praying, I thought I was wasting time. Meanwhile, that was consistent to my own ordination. Pray! And after I prayed for a long time, he came out from where he dwelt outside time. And he looked upon me. He gave me one instruction. And what happened to me in 3 months was superior to everything that would have happened in 10 years. I now discovered the wisdom of God is superior to human's intelligence. So in the civilization of God, there's the wisdom of God. And in the civilization of God, there are the purposes of God. So your life will not count until you live according to that divine purpose that necessitated your creation. You know, when John went to Zion, he interacted with the 24 elders. Now, these are the beings of wisdom and highest authority in heaven because they are closest to God in proximity to the throne. And when he saw the elders worshiping, the only thing the elders were saying was, holy, holy, holy is the Lord. And then he saw other beasts that were there. And he said they worship day and night forever and ever. And the only thing they were saying is, all things were created for your pleasure. That was when John realized the value of life is not in its longevity. The value of life is in the degree that it gives pleasure to God. Because all things were created for thy pleasure. So when you fulfill purpose, you give pleasure to God. That's why fulfilling purpose becomes an act of worship. But if you don't go to Zion, you won't find it. Because that is not written anywhere in time. You may be on earth and you are laboring because you think the goal is to become something in time. If it is apart from God, it becomes a problem. But if it is in God, it becomes a weapon for kingdom advancement. That's the power of the purposes of God. All of these were locked in God. And these were the things God was teaching Adam. But Adam violated it. So when Adam departed, like Lucifer that fell from the throne of heaven, Adam also became oblivious in understanding of what the will of God is. Adam became depraved in wisdom. So much so that Adam went to cover himself with fig leaves. You can't please a spirit with vegetable. The only thing that pleases a spirit is blood. So when God came, he looked at Adam. Before now, everything you did was correct. Because he named all the animals, and the name he called the animals was the name that was in the archive of heaven. Why all of a sudden you now take an action that is wrong? He had been cut off from the wisdom of God. So God had to come quickly and kill an animal and covered him with the skin of the animal. Because if God doesn't see blood, it will kill you. But Adam had fallen from wisdom. And the third thing, Adam no longer understood purpose. The reason for his existence, he forgot it. And Adam began to struggle to survive. He now thought that life was about survival. Meanwhile, it was never written in the blueprint of Zion that life was about survival. Life was about pleasing God. The moment life becomes about survival, death has entered. Adam had departed from the purposes of God. The reason is because a new government had been established. So when John went back to Zion, you know, there are few men that went to before the beginning. It was Moses that wrote Genesis chapter 1 and said, in the beginning, God. The second person that spoke about the beginning was John. He said, that which was from the beginning. They traveled very far outside time. And when John went and checked, he now came back and said, whoever is born of God. The sign that is born of God, the sign that the protocol of eternal life has been activated, is that he overcomes the world. He has the power over the administration of the world system. He has the power over the enticing implications that the devil litters upon the landscape. He overcomes the world. So a man who has not overcome the world have not learned the secret of existence. The third person that went to before the beginning was Paul. And when Paul went to the beginning, what Paul found was strange. Paul said the code of existence in this age is not breath. In the animal kingdom, the code of existence can be breath. But he said in the quadrant of humankind, he said the code of existence is not breath. He said the code of existence in the quadrant of humankind is God tabernacled in man. So any man who God is not tabernacled on his inside did not exist in this age. Meanwhile, there are many ages in God. There is the angelic age. The Bible said in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So before the earth was created, many heavens had been created. Many beings had existed in heaven. That's why you see the 24 elders, you don't know their origin. That's why you see the 4 beasts, you don't know their origin. That's why you see different categories of angels. Because before the project of man began, God had many projects. And there are different mysteries that govern all of those projects. But he said, in the project of man, what governs it is what? God tabernacled in man. That's why he said, Christ in you, the hope of glory. And the Bible now said, you know, when God began to create Adam, he said, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. And the way God created man was that God divided himself, and then he took dust and hid God in dust. So it is God hid in dust that is called man. So man is God hid in dust, because the mystery of this age is God tabernacling in a man. And Jesus said, this is life eternal. Life is not breath, it's your ability to touch that God that is on your inside. Live by that God that is on your inside. Commune with that God that is on your inside. That was the same thing God was teaching Adam in Genesis 3 verse 8. That if you stop touching me, you stop living. So the greatest preoccupation of a believer is his perpetual contact with God. That's why the code of this age is koinonia. If you have not touched God, you are not alive. And most times, when you don't touch God, the age will overpower you. The government of this world will rule you. This is why many people, God blesses them, the blessing becomes their grave. Because they didn't know the code of this age. How often did you touch him? Or have you touched him? Have you touched him today? So the reason today we count in your existence is not because today was in time. The reason today we count is because even today you touched him. The day you fail to touch him will not appear in your radar in Zion. Your age in the spirit is not how long you lived in time. Your age in the spirit is how many times you made contact. Because every time you make contact, there's a dot in Zion that this man is still breathing. That's why the moment Adam was expelled, the moment Adam stopped touching him, Adam died. So you can be 90 years old on earth, but in the spirit you are 5 years old. Because cumulatively, your touching him and the impact of your touching him did not transcend beyond 5 years. He said, this is life eternal, that they may know him. That they may know him. That they may know him. Because if you don't touch him, this age will swallow you up. The bank will swallow you up. Abuja will swallow you up. The government will swallow you up. A point will come when it will become difficult to come to church. Because you were tired from work. A point will come when it will become difficult to come into this world because Something happened in the office and you are not happy. So you wanted to be alone. And the way you were being alone is by putting an earpiece and hearing a music, a song to saturate your soul. That's not life. That's not life. That's not existence. Because when you look at the wisdom of God from the tablets of heaven, you will discover the only way God. You know, the way spirits define things is different from the way men define things. It's different entirely. So he said, if you don't touch God, this world will swallow you up. And there are many people in cities. They went to cities with God large in their heart. But when they came to the city, the pursuit of things made God became faint. So even when they come to the place of prayer, they look for God, they can't find God. They couldn't touch God. Meanwhile, before they came to the city, even the moment they wake up, an angel is singing and they can hear the sound of heaven. Before they woke up, as they are waking up, there is the Holy Ghost is dancing in their spirit. So they wake up in the morning. They didn't have anything. Yet they wake up. I have a very big God who is always by my side. But they now enter the city. They didn't know that there's a government in that city. They didn't know that there was a prince in that city that have set his quadrant to swallow men. So when they entered the city without an understanding of what life was. So they negated the protocol of intimacy. They negated the requirements of koinonia. So they became big in the city, but God became small on their inside. So like Adam, we exchange the mundane for sacred things. Like Adam, we exchange eternal reality for temporal reality. And Jesus said, if you are like that, you are dead. He said, this is life eternal, that they may know him. How well do you know him? When you wanted to choose your life partner, did you hear his whisper? Did you hear his whisper when you went to the office? That's why we respond like men. Because when things happen, we can't check heaven. We can't consult with heaven. We are no longer of heaven. We have become on earth. We have become of earth. So things on earth, we are competing with people with our minds. No, we are rulers. We don't compete. We rule in this realm. And the reason we can rule here is because we are perpetually connected to Zion. But when you are disconnected from Zion, you begin to compete with that person in the office. How can you compete with somebody in your office when you are a carrier of God? When you know where you woke up from. You woke up from your bedroom. I woke up from the presence. You are coming out of a room. I'm coming from the mountains of Zion. How can I compete with you? It's not possible. But the problem is, men have relocated from heaven. They live on earth. In John chapter 3 verse 13, Jesus was walking in Nazareth. And he said, no man have been to heaven at any time except the Son of Man, which is in heaven. So every day Jesus woke up from the presence. Jesus lived from the present because he knows the code of this age. Christ in you. God tabernacle in man.